I'm Candace, and I wasn't looking for a fight. I never thought I'd end up here, telling a story that sounds like something ripped from a soap opera. But life has a funny way of revealing people's true colors, doesn't it? You see, I'm not the kind of woman who picks fights. I build, I support, I work hard, and I show up for the people I love, even when they don't always show up for me. But my brother's wife, Natalie, she saw all that as a threat, and instead of joining the family, she tried to bulldoze it. She thought she could lie, cheat, sabotage, and still come out smelling like roses. But what Natalie didn't know is, I don't back down, I don't break, and when someone decides to play dirty, well, I play smarter. This is the story of how Natalie tried to erase me from my own family, and how I took everything she wanted instead. Call it revenge, call it karma. All I know is she handed me the match, and I set fire to her perfect little fantasy. Oops, did I ruin your presentation? Natalie's voice was thick with sugary sweetness, her fingers hovering over my laptop as the file disappeared before my eyes. I blinked at the blank screen. Natalie, I said slowly, trying not to explode, that was my pitch deck for the board. It took me 3 weeks to build that. She giggled, covering her mouth like a child caught sneaking candy. Oh no, silly me, I thought it was the old version. It was the third time in 2 weeks. Third accident, third lie. I looked over at my brother Jason, who was leaning against the kitchen counter like a tired parent caught between two toddlers. Candace, he sighed. She's still new here. It was just a mistake. New? She'd been in our lives for 7 months. Married for 3? I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled. Of course, Jason. Everyone makes mistakes. Natalie beamed, but in my head, I was filing it away. I used to think blood was thicker than water, but I was starting to see it clearly now. In my family, fake smiles ran deeper than love. I wasn't just Jason's little sister, I was the golden child, not because I wanted to be, but because I worked hard for it. Graduated summa cum laude, landed a high-powered marketing job at a Fortune 500 firm, bought my own loft downtown before I turned 30. Jason was proud of me once. Until Natalie came along. She didn't like my success, said it made her feel less than. So she tried to pull me down to size, started small, snide comments about how I must be exhausted trying to impress everyone. Then she graduated to sabotage, deleting my files, misplacing invitations to family events, even spreading a rumor that I flirted with her cousin at their wedding. You're imagining things, Jason would say. Nat's not like that. But I wasn't imagining anything. Things escalated at Mom's birthday dinner. I had organized the whole event, booked the venue, designed the invitations, paid for the flowers, and even created a tribute video. And yet, Natalie made sure I was invisible. She took credit for the video, told everyone she had booked the restaurant, and when I confronted her, she burst into tears. Candace is being so mean to me, she sobbed. She always tries to make me look small. Everyone turned to me, their faces filled with confusion. My mother patted Natalie's hand. Candace, sweetheart, maybe just let Natalie help sometimes. Help? Help? She didn't lift a damn finger. That night, I left early. I sat in my car, makeup perfect, heart shattered. I'd always been the strong one, the dependable one, but how strong could I be if no one believed me? I started documenting everything, every message, every email, every underhanded mistake she made. I didn't even know what I was building yet, but I knew one thing. Natalie had declared war. She thought I'd fight her with drama and confrontation. She didn't know me at all. 3 weeks later, she made her biggest mistake yet. We had a joint project at work. Yes, work. She'd used her connections to get hired into my company. Said she wanted to grow her career. She was hired as a junior associate. I was the senior exec she reported to. You'd think that would slow her down, but no. She submitted a pitch deck for a major campaign using my ideas. Copied word for word from my earlier drafts, ones she had access to. She pitched it directly to the VP during a meeting I couldn't attend. Tried to frame it as her original work. Except she forgot one thing. I had watermarked my drafts with invisible tracking. So when our VP called me and said, Natalie really impressed us with that concept, I calmly asked to meet. Of course, I said, smiling. There's something I think you need to see. The fallout was swift. The company launched an internal investigation. Natalie was reprimanded and placed on probation. But that wasn't enough, because she didn't just try to take credit for my work. She tried to erase me, and for that, I was going to erase her. I kept my tone neutral when Jason called that night. I don't know what you told HR, but Nat is devastated. She says you tricked her. I didn't say a word, I replied, my voice even. Just showed them the truth. He hesitated. Maybe give her another chance. She's just trying to fit in. I looked out my window at the city skyline. If this is her trying, I said, I'd hate to see what she does when she stops pretending. He sighed. I just wish you two could get along. I didn't answer, because the time for wishes was over. Natalie wanted everything I had, my reputation, my job, my place in the family. She'd forgotten the one rule of ambition: never play dirty with someone who knows how to clean up a mess. I was done playing nice. She wanted to compete. I'd show her what real competition looked like. But I wasn't going to raise my voice. I was going to raise the stakes. One by one, I was going to take everything she held dear: the job, the apartment, and oh, the man? Let's just say I had a little surprise in store. I'm not gonna lie, part of me hoped it was a coincidence. Maybe Natalie really was just clumsy. Maybe I was reading too much into it, but then it happened again. This time, she accidentally switched the file names for the financial projections and the client demo, two folders that couldn't have looked more different. The result? I walked into a pitch meeting with a top-tier investor with the wrong deck, looking like a total amateur. Candace, my boss, Mr. Mallory, said with that tight, disappointed smile he reserved for situations he didn't want HR involved in. I expected more from you. I stood there humiliated, watching Natalie from the corner of my eye. She wasn't even trying to hide her smirk. That was the moment I stopped making excuses. That night, I called my best friend, Janelle. You need to document everything, she said, voice sharp with anger. Screenshots, email trails, timestamps, don't give her an inch. Janelle was the one person who always had my back. We met in college, and ever since, she'd been my ride or die. She'd also watched me work my butt off to get to where I was. You built this career from scratch, she said. Don't let some Dollar Tree Regina George tear it down. I laughed. Dollar Tree Regina George is way too accurate. Over the next few weeks, I turned on full detective mode. Every passive-aggressive email, screenshot, every sabotaged file, logged, every side-eyed, whispery conversation she had with our mutual coworkers, noted. I even managed to get her on video whispering, "Oops, guess she has to work late again," after deliberately erasing changes I made on a collaborative file. It wasn't just work she was coming for either. One night I walked into a family dinner and found her wearing a dress I'd shown her in a picture just a week before. The same one I'd planned to wear to a company gala. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "Oh, you were gonna wear this? I thought you'd changed your mind." My brother, Marcus, didn't even blink. "She looks great in it," he said. It was like I was slowly being erased in my own life. But Natalie underestimated two things. One, how hard I'd fought to get to where I was. Two, that I wasn't playing defense anymore. The first strike came at the annual company gala. I walked in wearing a custom emerald dress that hugged every curve and turned every head. My hair was up in an elegant twist, makeup flawless, posture like a queen. Natalie was already there, wearing the exact same dress she'd stolen from me weeks ago. Only this time, she wasn't the only one in it. Apparently, she'd sent the same dress design to a few coworkers in a group chat, bragging about how it was the perfect power outfit. 3 other women showed up in it. Natalie looked like a walking group costume. Meanwhile, I was the only one in emerald. I might as well have been floating. "Candace," Mr. Mallory said, beaming, "you look radiant tonight, absolutely commanding." Natalie scowled so hard her lipstick cracked. Next came the presentation showdown. We were both on the pitch team for a high-stakes client, an international tech company looking for a U.S. partner. The kind of deal that could launch someone's career into the stratosphere. Natalie assumed she'd lead the presentation. She told the team she was taking point, claimed it had been decided in a private email thread. Only it hadn't. I looped in HR, showed them the trail of emails I had with the project manager, and proved that Natalie was lying. She was removed from the lead slot, publicly, but I wasn't done, because I'd stayed up for nights perfecting that pitch, knowing she'd try something. I walked into that boardroom with confidence dripping from every word I spoke. By the time I clicked through the last slide, the CEO stood and clapped. "Brilliant," he said. "We've seen dozens of pitches this year, and this is the one we'll remember." Mr. Mallory grinned. "Candace will lead our collaboration with them moving forward." Natalie, frozen in place, jaw clenched, nails digging into the sides of her chair. That night, I went home to an apartment that still smelled like lavender and hard work. I poured myself a glass of wine and watched the city lights flicker through my window. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was winning. And Natalie had no idea the storm that was still coming. Because when she tried to strike next, what she didn't know was that I'd already made plans to take everything she'd ever wanted. Her dream apartment, I knew the landlord, her dream promotion. I had the board's ear now. And that dream man she kept flirting with at the office mixer? Yeah, he'd been texting me for weeks. I'd played nice for too long. Now it was game on. They say karma moves slow, not when I'm the one driving it. The day after I was officially promoted to lead project manager, the job Natalie had been gunning for, I walked into the office like I was walking a runway. Power suit, coffee in one hand, her favorite shade of lipstick on my lips. Natalie looked like someone had run over her ego with a steamroller. Morning, I chirped with extra pep, placing my coffee down beside her desk. Didn't know if you were stopping by today or just dialing it in from the drama department. She blinked. Wow, new title already making you cocky. Nope, just energized, I said, flipping through a file. Feels good when hard work pays off, doesn't it? Truth be told, I'd been keeping my moves quiet while Natalie spent her energy plotting sabotage and whispering poison into my brother's ear. I built alliances, secured client contracts, and even took an advanced leadership course. Secretly paid for by my mentor, Evelyn, who saw through Natalie from the start. She's shiny on the outside, Evelyn once said, stirring sugar into her espresso, but empty inside. You're the real thing, Candace. Keep going. And I had. Now I was ready to let the shine burn her retinas. That afternoon, I hosted a client review meeting with one of our biggest accounts. Natalie insisted on sitting in, pretending she was still involved. She even tried to steal credit during the presentation. I helped revise that part, she said, nodding like a bobblehead. The client paused. Actually, Candace sent us that update at 2 a.m., said she wanted to make sure every detail was tight. Natalie's smile froze. Later that day, I called IT. Hey, James, I need a log of all file access from last month. Yeah, especially around the days my pitch decks went missing. I didn't even have to wait a full hour. You're gonna want to see this, James said, handing over a thumb drive. That log shows she deleted 3 key presentations from your shared folder using your login, but timestamps show she wasn't even in the building. So she hacked my credentials? He nodded and sent an email from your account about a backup error with her IP. Bingo. I invited my brother, Kyle, and Natalie to dinner. It was time. This place is nice, Natalie said, eyes darting around the upscale rooftop restaurant. She looked nervous. She should have been. Kyle gave me a brotherly smile. What's the occasion? Oh, I said lightly, just celebrating transparency. I slid a folder across the table. Kyle frowned and opened it, his jaw tensed. What is this? Evidence. He looked up at Natalie. You deleted her work? You framed her? Natalie's face flushed crimson. She's lying. That's fake. I leaned back in my seat. It logs, emails, IP address. I even have James on standby to testify. Kyle looked between us. For once, he didn't defend her. You tried to ruin my sister, Natalie sputtered. She made me feel small. Everyone loves Candace. I wanted just one win. I stood. And now you've lost everything. By the following Monday, HR had all the evidence they needed. Natalie was terminated, effective immediately. She stormed into the office to collect her things, crying and muttering about betrayal. I didn't say a word. I just watched her pack up the last of her fake designer bags, the same ones she once bragged about while trashing my Goodwill finds. Karma looked good on her. 2 weeks later, I saw the cherry on top. The dream apartment Natalie bragged about, the one she leased to feel superior to me, was up for rent again. Guess she couldn't afford it anymore. I applied and got approved. When I moved in, I found one of her fake lashes stuck to the bathroom mirror. I laughed for 5 whole minutes. I wasn't finished. Not yet. She had tried to bury me, so I was going to make sure everyone knew who did the real planting. At our annual industry gala, I accepted an award for leadership excellence. Standing there, trophy in hand, I said, to anyone who's ever been underestimated, sometimes the quietest workers build the loudest legacies. The crowd applauded, and in the back I saw her, watching, bitter, small, exactly where she belonged. My name is Candace, and this was never about revenge, until it was. Because after everything Natalie tried to take from me, my peace, my job, my reputation, I gave her one thing in return, a legacy she could never taint, touch, or tear apart. The morning after the awards gala, I woke up to hundreds of messages. Some were congratulations, others were shock. But the one that stuck out most, "You made me proud." Dad. It was the first message from him in almost 2 years. You see, my father had always been a quiet observer. He never chose sides when Natalie entered the picture and chaos followed. But now, he saw the truth, and he was finally on mine. Work that day was quiet, almost too quiet. Natalie didn't show up, neither did my brother. Everyone walked on eggshells, waiting for the fallout. I didn't. I showed up, nailed a client call, signed a new campaign partnership, and hosted a lunch meeting that sealed another $5 million deal. While Natalie was licking her wounds, I was stacking wins. By 6 p.m., HR had released an internal memo. Effective immediately, Natalie Harper Wilkins has been placed on indefinite leave pending a thorough investigation. No one looked shocked. Everyone looked relieved. Turns out, I wasn't the only one she'd sabotaged. Later that week, my brother called. The first time since that ugly fight at the family dinner. "Candace," he started, voice unsure. I didn't know how bad things had gotten." I stayed silent. "She told me you were jealous, that you didn't want her around because you didn't like me being happy." I scoffed. "And you believed that?" Look, I was wrong. I see that now. I don't know how to fix this." "You don't," I said flatly. "Some things don't get fixed. They end." "Please," he whispered. "I just want my sister back." "You lost her the moment you watched her drown and did nothing." Then I hung up. A few days later, Natalie tried her final act. She showed up at my building, red-eyed, makeup smudged, dressed in designer clothes that suddenly looked too big on her. "Candace," she sniffed. "Can we talk, please?" I stepped outside, calm and cold. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said. "I was just scared. You're always so perfect. Everyone loves you. I thought if I could just be me," I interrupted. "You wanted to replace me, Natalie, but you never could, and you never will." She broke down, right there, in the middle of the street. "I lost everything," she sobbed. "My job, my husband, my home. You win. Are you happy now?" I stepped closer. "You think this was about winning?" She blinked through tears. "I didn't want to destroy you," I said. "I wanted to rebuild myself, and I did. You were just the storm I walked through to get there." Then I turned and walked away. Months passed. Natalie disappeared from the scene. My brother filed for divorce quietly, moved to another city, tried to start over. Me, I was named VP of Creative Strategy. Bought the penthouse apartment Natalie used to dream about. Took weekend trips with Darren, the man she once tried to flirt with, who only ever had eyes for me. One afternoon, Darren handed me a small box. "This isn't a proposal," he said with a wink. "Yet, just something I want you to carry, a reminder." Inside was a delicate gold bracelet engraved with, "The fire doesn't destroy you, it forges you." I smiled. "Perfect," I whispered. Some people think revenge means ruining someone, but the best revenge is building a life so big, so bright, so untouchable, that they have to watch it from the shadows. Natalie wanted my spotlight. Now she can sit in the dark. Because this legacy, she'll never touch it.